I've seen a lot of people, even in my workplace, whereby what they do is they want to work on an important task. They want to focus on something important, maybe creating a PowerPoint slide, maybe creating an email, or maybe even working on a draft. And then they'll be so focused on that work, or they'll be so ready to want to do that work. And then what they do is, before they get started, they take their AirPods and they want to like take it out of the case. Come on, bro. Take it out of the case and then put it in their ears, and they now start playing music. And this is how everybody now works with their music. And I'm like, why? Like, why would you intentionally want to focus on a task and then you also distract yourself from focusing on that task? So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to teach you lessons I've learned from this book. It's called Deep Work by Cal Newport, and I'm going to show you how you can actually get a lot of work done in half the time, because the average person works about 8 hours a day. So I'm going to teach you how you can work for 4 hours a day but also achieve more than the average person. Now this book, it has a name which is Deep Work, so it actually teaches you how you can stay focused in a distracted world. Now what does this actually mean, this phrase or this principle of deep work? So I'm going to do like a brief summary of some of the pages in the book, and I'm going to explain that to you and teach you how you can actually beat your competition or beat people that you think work harder than you, but in other words they are not. So look at how he described what deep work is. I'm going to take you to page 105. I'm directly reading from a book now. So he describes deep work as, and I quote, "All of my time and attention are spoken for several times over. Please do not ask for them." So what does this mean? He's, in other words, describing that deep work means that you focus all your time and all your attention on a particular work. So you focus your time and attention on a particular work, which means you and your work. No distractions, maybe from the TV, from social media, from your cell phone or notifications. That is what deep work is. Now, why should you actually do this? Why should you work without distraction? Since everybody works and they just get a notification from their phone and they end up getting distracted, why should you take this principle on this book, that is this principle of deep work? Well, I'm going to give you a very good example. So imagine you are creating videos like this, and let's say you want to create or you want to post 3 videos per week. Now let's say it takes you 20 minutes to record a video, so which means in an hour you are going to record 3 videos, not so, which means in 4 hours you are going to record 12 videos. And so out of those 12, if you are posting 3 per week, you would, in other words, in those 4 hours recorded those 12 videos that you would have posted for a whole month. And so the principle of this deep work is, within 2, 3, maximum 4 hours, you can actually get more work done than the average person does in a week. Because if you compare you and the average person they want to even record a YouTube video and they will take a week to record those 12 videos, but you would literally do them in 4 hours. So that is why this principle of deep work is very, very important. So I'll explain to you what deep work is and why you should actually do it. But now let's look at the opposite of deep work, that is what every other person does, which is shallow work. I'll take you to page 228. I'm going to explain what every other person does, which is shallow work. So shallow work, what that is defined as, it is defined as efforts or things that do not really create much value in the world and they are easy to replicate. For example, checking your emails or scheduling a call. I mean, you can literally do that while you are distracted. You can check your emails while you are eating. You can check your emails while you are watching TV, or you can actually schedule a call while you are eating. So you understand the principle of deep work and the principle of shallow work. So when you are focused on deep work, you focus your time and attention on that, and for shallow work you can actually do it whilst you are distracted. So now you've seen what deep work is, why you should do it, and you've seen the opposite, which is shallow work. Now how can you actually do deep work? So let's look at another thing he describes, Cal Newport, on how you can actually do deep work. I'm going to show you one way you can actually do deep work and actually beat your competition. So page 142, he literally describes it here, and I'm not lying, he says be lazy. Now one thing you can actually do is that it doesn't mean that you should be lazy, that you should like not work on your goals, but what he means by that, and I quote, he says what he resolved to do is that he resolved to get to a place whereby there is no TV, no internet, and if you want to go online, you have to ride it back to the nearest local library. So what this does is that it puts you in a sense whereby you have to do the work, which is it's just you and the work. So no distractions, nothing at all. It's just that you have to perform that task, you have to do that work. So that's what he means by you being lazy. And so what this does is he actually gave an example of a cartoonist named Tim Crider. I don't know if I'm butchering the name, but when you read the book, you understand. Now, this cartoonist, he was actually trying to write a script for the cartoon, but he was not able to get a lot of work done until he took in this principle of deep work. And so when he was able to eliminate all of the distractions, what he said, and this same page 142, and I quote, he said, "I'm finally getting some real writing done for the first time in 5 months." So you see the benefit of eliminating distraction. You're able to, when you eliminate distractions, you're able to focus more on the work, and you can get more work done than the average person. Now let's look at the very next thing in which you can do for you to actually do deep work, on how you can actually do your deep work. So I'm going to take you down to page 203. So I'm going to show you the very next thing you can do for you to do deep work. Page 203. Look at how it explains the very next thing you can do. So page 203, he describes it here. He says, quit social media. Now, for you, I'm not actually advising that you quit, because the average person spends about 8 hours a day. So if you quit, it might be difficult for you to figure out what you're going to do with that excess time. So for me, I would suggest to you that you limit the time that you spend on social media, because we all have 24 hours in a day. And so let's say out of those 24, you have 8 hours whereby you are sleeping. Maybe not 8, but let's just estimate 8 where you sleep. And so you have 16 left. Now out of those 16, let's say you have 8 for your normal shift. Maybe you work 8 hours a day, and the other 8 is spent on social media. So you can decide to cut part of those 8 hours, so that you can maybe decide to use maybe 2, 3, 4 hours for your deep work, and you can actually focus and put your time and attention into it, and that is how you get the most out of your work. Now let's look at the very third way in which you can actually do deep work. So that is, I'm going to take you now to page 221. Look at the very next way in which you can actually do deep work. So page 221, there he describes the principle you can imitate. He says, schedule every minute of your day. So I'm not going to say every minute per se, but you can schedule the hours that are in your day. So from 8 to 10 you are doing XYZ, 10 to 12 you do XYZ, 12 to 2. So when you schedule every hour in your day, or maybe every 2 hours in your day, and then you plan that, oh, you're going to be doing this, and you actually stick to it, then you can be able to focus on a particular work without distractions, and you can get a whole lot of work done. Now let's look at the fourth and final way in which you can be able to beat your competition. Now look at how it describes how you should actually work. Look at page 167. Page 167, let me show you how you can actually work on a particular goal so that you are able to beat your competition. So page 167, he describes work like Teddy Roosevelt. Now he actually gave the example of Teddy Roosevelt here. I'm not going to state the full example, but I'm just going to summarize it for you. So he was currently studying in a school, and so what he did was that he decided to plan his time. Teddy Roosevelt, he decided to plan his time, so he took the 24 hours. So from what he did was that he decided to schedule his time. So what he would do is he removed the time whereby he was focused on training, he removed the time whereby he was focused on his recitation, his classes, and then the other time that he had remaining, although it was not much, he decided to use that very little time to focus on his schoolwork. Now one thing I actually admire about him was that even though, as he describes in page 167, what he says was that even though the time he spent on his schoolwork was not really much, what he did was that he focused that time, or he used that time with a lot of intensity. And so what he was able to do is that he was able to study for a very short period of time, but with more intensity. And so because of this, he was now able to get a lot of work done. And at the very end of the page 167, He now says, and I quote, his concentration was so intense and his reading so rapid that he could afford more time off than most. So even though he focused little time on reading, he focused on that little time, he had a lot of intensity. And so because of this, he was not able to achieve more than most students. And if you feel like this principle of deep work doesn't really work for you, well, there are a lot of people, even business owners, who even work with this same principle of deep work, and it works for a lot of them. For example, Alex Hormozi. So this is what he says regarding deep work.
Make it hard to do anything but work. So if you look at my office, I have no windows anywhere and it's really plain. And so the only thing I really have to do is work. Hear all that? I don't. It's easier to do more when you hear less.
So I really want you to learn a whole lot about this principle, because this principle alone can help you to be able to beat all your competition, because everybody is distracted nowadays. They are all addicted to their phones, to social media, to notifications. But if you can actually work without distractions, you can beat 99% of your competition, maybe even including me too, who knows. So I hope this video has really helped you to see how you can actually work hard and put in your time and attention into your goals. If you want more videos like this whereby you can learn how to actually improve yourself, well, you can like this one and you can subscribe to help our community. Peace.